for landing. This time it was different. A tragedy.
We are at this place, try to make a foundation. Then I just saw a plane coming down. Then before we would have known, the plane just went down there and then crashed. So and we rushed there to even go and maybe to rescue. So when we reached that point, the thing exploded back again. Then we now ran back and we went there. We saw the people there burned beyond recognition.
I witnessed the plane before it crashed. I just came back from church. I want to go and buy something. Only for me to come outside the compound, and I saw plane coming close as if it wants to land in front of our compound. I was like, what kind of driving is this? What kind of driving is this? What? Oh God, it was terrible. And the next thing I heard was a big sound with fire and smoke. Boom! Ha! This is human being burning. I was so traumatized. I was like, God, what is this?
Well, 7 people have died in a plane crash near Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The passengers were on board a military aircraft. They were heading to the country's Niger state to take part in a surveillance mission connected to the search for dozens of people abducted by gunmen last week. The gunmen attacked a school, killing 1 schoolboy and kidnapping at least 42 people. The cause of the plane crash remains unknown, though the military says the pilot had reported engine failure. The military is currently investigating the crash.
Meanwhile, suspected armed bandits raided a school dormitory in northwestern Nigeria overnight. A teacher and parent told AFP on Friday, raising fears of another mass kidnapping in the region. More than 300 girls are unaccounted for after a head count of remaining students, said a teacher at the government girls' secondary school, Jangebe, who asked to remain anonymous. He said the attack happened around 1 a.m. or midnight GMT, but did not provide details on the number of students present in the school at the time. Heavily armed criminal gangs in northwest and central Nigeria have stepped up attacks in recent years, kidnapping for ransom, raping, and pillaging. Just last week, 42 people were taken by a gang from a school in nearby Niger State. In December, more than 300 boys were kidnapped from a school in December in Kankara, President Muhammadu Buhari's home state of Katsina, while he was visiting the region.
Well, it was a terrifying night at a girls' school in northern Nigeria. The government says gunmen stormed a state-run boarding school, kidnapping hundreds of children. One source tells CNN the criminals forced the abducted girls from their dormitories into the forest. Some managed to escape the attackers, but it is believed more than 300 have been kidnapped. One police officer has also been killed. It is the second such brazen abduction in just over a week, and parents are distraught.
They said there is security in our state, but there is no security, because if there was, this would not happen.
For more, we can bring in Sam Olukoya, who's our correspondent in Lagos. Sam, thanks for being with us once again. What more can you tell us about this overnight attack at this school? What are the latest information?
Well, I've been speaking with people in the area, including some parents, and they gave me a vivid account of what happened. It said that quite a large number of armed men went to the school. They divided themselves into 2 groups. One group attacked a military camp that was quite close to the school, and then the other group attacked the school. They were there for several hours. They were able to put the children together, and then they marched them into the bush.
Officials in Nigeria's Zamfara state are in touch with gunmen who abducted 317 schoolgirls last week and are negotiating their release. The armed men took the girls from a boarding school in the northwestern part of the country, the region's second school kidnapping in just a week. Zamfara's governor ordered all boarding schools to close immediately after the kidnapping.
It's a place where they should have been safe. But more than 300 girls were abducted from their boarding school in northwest Nigeria, taken from their dormitories at night. Among them were Yunus Mohammed's 4 daughters.
Daddy called me, tell me the situation. We tried to come by that time. The exchanging fire between that robbers and soldier couldn't give us time to enter. Then we go back.
Large groups of armed men operate in this area. They kidnap for ransom. Just last week, 42 people, including 27 pupils, were taken from a science college in Niger State. And in December, 344 boys were abducted from a secondary school in northern Katsina State.
We begin then with that breaking news out of northwestern Nigeria, where more than 300 schoolgirls have been kidnapped. It happened in Zamfara State. Gunmen arrived at night, shooting sporadically, and took the girls into the bush.
What's left behind in these rooms indicates the girls left in a hurry, and probably in shock. The attackers shot through glass windows to force them out. Personal effects strewn across the floor. They were gone only for a few days, but the dry weather casts thin layers of dust on what was left behind. At the school entrance, the lone security guard tried to stop them, but failed.
After a short patrol of the school perimeter, I went back in. Shortly after, I saw someone on the wall. I pointed my gun at that intruder. I heard him telling others to shoot me. I hid and I called for help. No one was able to help because they've surrounded the school.
Although there are 2 security posts within a few hundred meters of the school in this northwestern state of Zamfara, not enough support reached him. A police officer who attempted to stop them was shot dead by the attackers. Marwana Tishitu is among students who evaded capture.
They now start shooting, shouted, everybody should come out. If you catch anybody inside the room without coming out, we are going to shoot them. So our sisters just came out running to the gate.
Ismail Hassani is still waiting for the news of his 10-year-old daughter, his sister, and a friend's daughter.
I've never been in such a confused state. I haven't slept much, nor eaten well since then. There is no joy, no laughter anymore in this house.
Back at the school, a few parents hang around for news of their children. With them, security personnel guarding empty classrooms and hostels.
Just a few days ago, these hostels were full of life. 550 girls were here chasing their dreams. Some wanted to be doctors, others teachers. Then as they prepared for the night, armed men burst in. They herded and drove 317 girls into the night. Now the halls of residence are empty. The government of Zamfara State has now shut down all boarding schools in the state.
But for some, the damage has already been done. Some parents insist their daughters aren't going back to school, saying the Nigerian government has failed them.
Hello and welcome. The President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has welcomed the release of 279 schoolgirls abducted by gunmen last week. The governor of Zamfara State said he'd negotiated with the kidnappers and come to an arrangement.
Most of us got injured on our feet and we could not continue trekking. So the captors said they would shoot anybody who did not continue to walk. We walked across the river and they hid us, and they let us sleep under shrubs in a forest.
This is a different sort of assembly for these schoolgirls to attend in the Nigerian state of Zamfara. Instead of a classroom, they sat in a government building with a little food to eat after a terrifying ordeal at the hands of kidnappers. 279 were captured at their school in a town called Jigebe, then forced to march into the forest.
Most of us got injured on our feet and we could not continue with the trekking. They said they will shoot anybody who did not continue to walk.
While we were walking, they were hitting us with guns and beating us with a cane and telling us to move on.
Mass abductions have become increasingly common in northern Nigeria as criminal gangs and bandits seek payment for the children's return. For the pupils and the parents, it can be traumatic. Security analysts warn this criminal activity won't go away.
For us to hear that all of them have been released, we're happy about that, But then you now say to yourself, where next? Because you're wondering, where is it going to happen again? Is it still going to be in Zamfara? Is it going to Niger? Is it moving to Katsina? That's a big issue.
The girls were taken by a gang of men, 100 strong, in military-style uniforms. Local officials said they negotiated the girls' release. It's a common practice, and it may be necessary, but it fuels these terrifying crimes. John Sparks, Sky News.
They arrived at dawn, limped their way into the office of the governor, exhausted, and some too sick to work. They served meals in an office where normally cabinet meetings are held. With their first decent meals in days, they gathered the strength to tell us what happened.
They drove us like animals. Some of us were falling and getting injured. They made us trek for 2 to 3 hours and spent the first 2 days in the camp. They pushed us forward, threatening to kill anyone who refused to move. Despite the blisters on our feet, they forced us to walk further until we reached the second and then the third camp.
The 279 students were kidnapped while they were sleeping in their boarding school dormitories in the town of Jangebe, in circumstances similar to the Boko Haram kidnapping of more than 270 girls in Chibok in 2014. It's not clear if these girls will have the courage to return to school, or even if their parents will allow them to return. The governor of Zamfara State insists dialogue with the bandits will continue despite the pitfalls.
It's a very dicey situation. A lot of people are questioning the rationale behind negotiating with criminals like this, which will embolden them in terms of money, getting money from the government, or also rearming themselves and conducting more daring attacks.
Usama Aminu is one of the boys rescued after gunmen stormed his school and abducted hundreds of children. He says he was falling asleep when the attacks started.
I started hearing gunshots. Then when I came out, there were many people already outside. We were asked to go back to our hostel. Then they said the gunmen were already in the school. We climbed the school fence, but they asked us to return back. We thought they were soldiers who were trying to protect us, but unfortunately they were not. When I decided to run, they brought a knife to slaughter me, but I ran away quickly. I ran into the crowd, but they couldn't get me. Then I put my clothes upside down so they could not see me. From there, they said they would kill whoever is trying to escape. I then began to run.
This is Al Jazeera.
Well, we begin this bulletin with breaking news out of Nigeria. There are reports that gunmen have kidnapped students from a college there. That abduction happened in Kaduna State in the northwest.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Right, I want to get you back to Nigeria now, where more parents will be in torment and the country's kidnapping crisis deepening. As we have been reporting, a forestry college in northwestern Kaduna State is the very latest target of gunmen. Right now, it's not known how many students were grabbed at gunpoint after an assault overnight. What we do know is that this is the 4th time students have been abducted since December, and Nigeria is reeling. Well, civil rights activist Shehu Sani is a former senator of Mando, the town in Kaduna State where this latest mass kidnapping happened. He's critical of the Nigerian government's handling of the crisis, writing on Twitter, quote, "When they said that Jangebe kidnappings would be the last, it's clear that they really underestimated the enormity and gravity of the problem. Kidnapping is now a thriving, lucrative business, and students are now their stocks and gold mine." Well, it couldn't be clearer than that.
Outside Mando's Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, a hole blasted through a wall into the grounds. Gunmen had stormed the school in northwest Nigeria, abducting at least 30 students. It's just the latest in a string of such abductions in Nigeria over the last 4 months. Comes just 2 weeks after nearly 300 schoolgirls were kidnapped in Zamfara state. It sparked criticism of authorities for negotiating with so-called bandits, providing incentives for the practice to continue.
This is the fourth such mass kidnapping in 3 months. It seems to be a sort of a vicious cycle where embarrassment is caused to Muhammadu Buhari by the ongoing phenomenon. Ransoms are sought, perhaps paid, and the kidnapping industry is actually fueled by the shocking nature of what's going on and by the media attention.
Now to West Africa, the Nigerian security forces have stepped up efforts to rescue dozens of abducted college students who were earlier kidnapped in Kaduna, northwestern Nigeria.
The Nigerian security forces have stepped up efforts to rescue dozens of abducted college students who were earlier kidnapped in Kaduna, northwestern Nigeria. The students were kidnapped by unknown gunmen in a raid on the Federal Government College of Forestry Mechanization, which is located near a military training academy. Earlier, media in Nigeria ran videos where hostages were shown pleading for help.
We are pleading on government to come now at this early, because these people, they have bad minds towards us. We are pleading on government to come and help us, because without the government coming to our rescue this early and having any settled issue with them, there will be a serious problem with us. We are pleading on government to come and help us.
I, as the CNC, am making you 100% to effectively deploy your officers and men to secure the country.
Turning to Nigeria, I can tell you the Secretary General strongly condemns the reported abduction of another group of students in that country, this time from the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization in Kaduna. The Secretary General calls for the immediate and unconditional release of those students that remain in captivity.
Now, with reports of a fresh attack on the divisional police station in Ehime, Ibadan local government area of Imo State, southeast of Nigeria, the gunmen are reported to have freed all the suspects in detention before setting the police divisional station ablaze. The attack is coming 24 hours after unknown gunmen attacked a correctional center in Owerri, freeing 1,884 inmates and raising over 50 vehicles. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo visited the state earlier, where he condemned Monday's attack.
And in that dream, they stormed Nigeria. They invaded them. And in that dream, they stormed Nigeria.
Unknown gunmen in their numbers have attacked the Imo State Correctional Services using dynamite and other heavy explosives before gaining entrance and release some inmates in the center. The hoodlums also attacked the police state headquarters, Owerri, while firing consistently with AK-47 rifles and explosives. Released some suspect detained in the SCID cell and put fire on so many vehicles parked at the headquarters premises, including the SCID office building.
Gunmen on Monday attacked the Nigerian Correctional Services in Imo State and freed an unspecified number of prison inmates. Channels Television gathered that the attack occurred in the early hours of today, after which the hoodlums set the facility ablaze. The gunmen also raided the Imo State Police Command headquarters in Owerri and burnt almost all the vehicles parked at the command headquarters.
Gunmen have freed more than 1,800 inmates from a prison in southeastern Nigeria. That's according to the prison's authority, which said rocket-propelled grenades, machine guns, explosive and rifles were used in the attack. According to a police statement, explosives were used to blast the administrative block and enter the prison yard. Large amounts of ammunition have been stolen,
Gunmen have set the headquarters of the Imo Police Command on fire and attacked the Owerri Correctional Prison, releasing many prisoners. It was gathered that the armed gang overpowered security operatives at the facilities. It is unclear the number of inmates that were free, but many vehicles were set ablaze at the police headquarters in the state.
We begin with the developing story of the attack on a Nigerian correctional service facility in the southeastern state of Imo, where an unspecified number of inmates have been freed. Reports say one person suspected to be a fleeing inmate was killed during the attack, which lasted for about 3 hours.
The Lord is saying that the power unto man is in the highway. He says, even no ferocious beast shall come to devour you on the way. That is the true power of the Lord, right? Right? But I see in Nigeria, the ferocious beast and so I have come to ask you, on which way are you walking? Which highway is Nigeria following right now? In other words, is she really on the highway of the Lord? Because the other highway, the devourer is there. That is the way that Nigeria followed. And in that dream, they stormed Nigeria. They invaded them, humiliated them, held them captive. There were so many people and the line was so long, huge line. The beast is devouring Nigeria. Everybody is watching all over the world. That's what the Lord is saying here.